Let's spend some time to read a few of your comments very quickly on Twitter. And Obijiaku Onyinye is asking us questions why Isaac's success is not on that list. That's what he feels. He says maybe those who compile the list do not watch the La Liga. Why is Isaac's success not on that list? That's what he says.
I don't think so. I think the job at hand determines that you focus on those guys maybe that have been there before, get the job done. Guys like Isaac's success, you just have to be patient. That they have a lot of time ahead of them. The future, look, the 2018 World Cup, if we qualify, those are the guys.
2017 Nations Cup.
No, I'm even already thinking of the World Cup. I'm not talking of the Nations Cup now.
But you have
say
to
the World Cup.
If we qualify.
That's why I said so. If we qualify, those are the guys that will be in pole position.
To go there.
Young guys.
So we should allow him to keep. To garner the experiences
after this game against it, because it's high stake. You don't want to experiment. You don't want to make mistakes. You make
but there are some new guys here as well.
I'm saying about Isaac's success is the fact that he's been playing week in, week out for Grenada
against some of the best players in the world.
Each time they play, I get to see their lineup. Most times he plays 90 minutes. Most times he's been subbed off like in the 85, 86 minutes. He's been very consistent. Yes, he's not been getting the goals, but for the fact that he finds his name week in, week out in the list, then he's doing something right. But it's still too early for him to be in the Super Eagles team. There's the Rio Olympic Games later this year. He can start from there. He has played for the under-17, he has played for the under-20. So he should just make that gradual step up.
The future is bright. The future is bright. We should be more concerned about getting the job done. Once you get the job done against Egypt, then there are friendly
games. The Olympic Games is also there for them to showcase their talent.
Ozulumba, FT Kelechi says he's happy that the likes of Fernando, Igalo, Kalikeme are there, and he says Egypt will hear us. That's what this guy is saying. Tokpa Chalu says, why is John Ogu and Brown there not in the team? Henry Nwayawu says, for me, Leon Balogun's name is not on that list. That's a big one for Henry Nwachuku. Okay, Yemi, I think you have some tweets for us as well. Let's hear what are the guys saying from your side.
Okay, Sheyi Okpeolu Ajayi, he says, what we need to do to beat Egypt is to pay Eagles players a fat bonus before and after. These players put okay, I don't want to read that last part, but what he's saying in essence is that
double the bonus.
Double the bonus.
Double bonus. All right. The realities on the ground right now is that double bonus may not look like a good option right now.
Exactly.
And there's another person here. I don't know, it sounds like you're running, but I don't know if I'm going to get it right. Ade Tikon Emmanuel. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce your name right. He says Nigeria's game against the Egyptians will surely determine whether we end up in the top 10. And I guess it's reacting to what you said about the rankings and every other thing. And someone here, Jimbe Bernard, says, I don't think I agree, but he says, it's his own opinion anyway. He says, Onazi and Echejile, I think both players do not have anything to offer.
Onazi is going to be out for the first game in Kaduna, but he will be available for the second game because of the red card he picked up against Chad. But let's take a look at the list very quickly, and that's what you are seeing right there on your screen. The names in white are the 22 home-based players that will start camp on Sunday. People have been saying, why call up 42? The way the NFF operates, and they've been doing that since the time of Stephen Keshi, they call home-based players, about 20, 22, call them to camp. They start camp, and then a week or two after, these foreign-based, their names in yellow, will now come to camp. And then between the home-based and the foreign-based, we'll pick the 18 or the 23, as the case may be, that will go out for the game that we have. So you can run through the names. As you are right there on your screen, you can take your time, or you can go on to the Super Eagles Twitter handle, or go on to the Nigerian Football Federation website and read up on all those names. But just to clarify, for those who are asking, why 42? That's the style. The NFF will call 22 home-based players. They will be in camp for a week or two, and then they will be pruned down to join up with the foreign-based, and then we have the blend of the home base and the foreign base. The coaches will pick out those they feel will be able to deliver for us, and the same thing is going to play out again. All right. So let me come to you guys. People have been talking about those that they think
a lot of people,
those who are not.
A lot of people. Before I even go into that, you cannot you cannot satisfy anybody. So,
you cannot satisfy everybody.
Okay,
you can satisfy most people.
can satisfy some people sometimes, but you cannot satisfy everybody
all the time.
My point is, since we're just coming from the CHAN, you know, it is easy for us to have picked out those players that we think, okay, this is good. The coach will have his plan. I think, for me, my personal opinion, I think 22 is just too much.
Okay, how many would you have picked? If
I mean, I would stick with the players that went to the CHAN. We all agree that
most of these guys on this list went to the CHAN.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just contesting the number. I think it's too. I think it's
23 players went to CHAN.
I think it's just. I think it's just too much.
No,
I think we could have
23 players.
We reduced it maybe 8 or 10, since we know we're going to get.
No. So 20. you mean camp opens on Sunday with only 8 players? You're not going to get the competitive.
I just think I have a problem with the number. You know,
you are saying we should stick to the guys that went to CHAN. 23 players went to CHAN. Now we have called up 22.
Yes, well, you find a way to drop. But
Julian, if you call up 8 home-based players, for example, and 8 home-based players come to camp on Sunday, what are they going to be doing? Only 8.
That would be the
what practice are they going to be doing?
They just be passing the ball around.
I mean,
that's the excuse to invite 23. I mean, that's the only logical.
Yes,
that's the only logical excuse
to call 22.
You know,
and apart from that, you know, in camp, a lot of things can happen. A player can pull hamstring. You have very little time to react. If you call 8 and a player pulls hamstring, what do? You start to call a fresh guy who starts to come and go to the places.
You're putting up a good defense, but I still think I still think the number is too much.
We are not hoping anybody gets injured.
But that's what happened. It's the reality. You know, a couple of players will get injured. So to avoid late call-ups, late replacements, once you have those players in camp, at least you have about 5 goalkeepers, 15 midfielders, 15 defenders, 8 midfielders, and 14 strikers. That's combination of both the home-based players and the foreign-based players. So if players can get injured, the adequate replacement in camp. You do not have to start calling up fresher players to come and start training with the team, understanding the philosophy of
like what happened to us when we were going for CHAN.
Exactly.
When a player got injured and we had to bring in a replacement, and it took us a long time for him to go get visa and then join us.
From and
it took us a long time.
I think it's a very good list. You know, the most important thing is that we must get the victories.
Who is supposed to be on this list that is not there for you?
Brownie Day is one player who has been very consistent with Olympiacos. I've also monitored, you know, his progress in the Greek league. It's one reason why they are currently top of the Greek league. In fact, they've just lost 1 game, so I felt he should have been in the team. Since leaving the Barclays Premier League, he's been
consistent, playing regularly.
Playing even in the Champions League. We saw him play home and away against Arsenal and all of that. So there's no perfect list, but these players are good enough. They might not be world-class players, but they are good enough. They are core quality players in their own right, and they have what it takes to ensure that we can get 4 points off the Egyptians, or if possible, 6 points, beat them home and away.
Hopefully.
And you know, we can even. They are currently 7th in the ranking. Who knows? We could, you know, upsurge and maybe be in the top 5, and at the end of the day, avoid one of Cape Verde, Ivory Coast, India.
Those countries will also be looking to avoid us. So whatever, let's just play our game.
I think my own focus will be more on the coach than the players. You know, we've said it. That you can't get.
No, but when you talk about the coach, who would you want on that list that isn't there?
That's the reason. I always
want the coach.
No, you don't. Once a list is out, I don't stew over who should be here, who shouldn't be. Now we know the job. We have an uphill task. So, you know, all of the things, we've shot ourselves in the foot many times in the past. And just hoping this will not be the case. Now, the reason why I said the focus for me will be on the manager, its managerial capacity, its acumen, its tactics, how he's able to manage. All of those things will be what will be tested in the days ahead, in the weeks and in the days ahead. And with those players, I think, like Julian said, it should still be enough.
So this is a perfect list for you?
No. There's no perfect list anywhere.
Okay.
But it's good.
Okay. Adekunle Campos at Campus Matic 25 says, I think Musa Mohammed should be on that list. Musa Mohammed, remember him, the captain of the Golden Eaglets and then Flying Eagles. I think currently plays his football in Turkey.
I think it's an African thing. We don't trust youngsters. It takes a while. We allow people to grow on. And you see, the irony about it is modern day football, these guys tend to play the best of their football in their younger days. So when you just, he just finished from Gordon, or he's just in Flying Eagles, and they play their best games for their clubs, and by the time they had their reputation in your own highs, they are on the decline. So they come into the Eagles, their past years probably behind, and that's why I think we should start trusting these guys. And the 19-year-old will play for most of these guys will play for those other. Even though I said earlier that there is time, the future is bright for those guys, because if you want to consider that we're playing Egypt and you don't really have the time to start saying put this one, try that one, because if we don't get it right, that is the end. But then again, if we're done with Egypt, let's trust those young guys. I'm not saying dismantle the team and bring them wholesale. But look, trust these guys. The case of Musa Maya, for instance, we've been trying for a very long time to get a right back. And to me, if you ask me,
we've not gotten any natural.
It fits the bill.
I think I want to agree with what he said. If you look at the Ghana team that lost the Nations Cup final to the Ivorians on penalty, it was one of the youngest teams in that same Nations Cup. How old is Baba Rahman? He's less than 23 years old. He's playing for Chelsea right now. He's the first choice left back for Ghana and all of that. So
most of them played in 2009.
When they won.
The year after, most of them went to the World Cup.
And they were still in the team.
So 4 years later, they were already key members of
so you need to just put faith in those
Trust
players.
the young guys.
Yes, it's true that we really don't have time in our hands to start chopping and changing here and there, but that's why I like the fact that Iheanacho is in the list, but you can still integrate a lot of other players, from the Flying Eagles team, from the Under-17 team, because trust me, those guys are very good players and they want to have, a stake to playing for the Super Eagles side. If not this year, perhaps next year.
Okay, I think somebody is talking to you on Twitter. He says, AJB Bernard says, I think Uja and Leon Balogun should be.
Yes. I think Anthony Uja had not scored in his last 5 games prior to when he scored last weekend. But the good thing is that players are beginning to get regular playing time. He even played yesterday with the 4-1 victory against Bayer Leverkusen. It's a very good player. Leon Balogun was also massive in the game against Bayern Munich. How many teams go to the Allianz Arena and put up that kind of performance? But the coach, know why he's not on the team, and perhaps he might get his chance in subsequent games. But it's sad not to see him on the list because he's very calm. He reads the game expertly well. But the coaches has made their choice, and we just have to stick with what we have right now. Okay,
Willie Chino, John Obi at I am_manifest says Paulo Nobi for me is supposed to be on that list. That's what it says. And Francis Peter says we all should understand that all Nigerian players in Europe can't make the team. Let's pray for those picked to deliver. I think that's what we want to achieve, and that's what we want to see.
We've not spoken about Fernando
Ali. The new guys, Fernando Ali.
It's been fantastic.
Aaron Samuel is back.
Aaron Samuel is on loan, from China to CSK
Moscow is
Fernando
back.
Ali, did well last season.
Chibuzo Okonkwo also back
Portland
among the home base.
So it's good to see some of the players coming back and in the team, but you want to see what they'll contribute. It's not just their names being on the list, whether they will be among the final list of players that will be shortlisted by a consortium of coaches right there in the Super Eagles. But it's a very good list. And at the end of the day, you have 42 players for the coaches to choose about 21, 23, or 18 from. So they are spoiled for choices in all departments, But at the end of the day, some players will definitely be on the list. I would not want to mention names, but I'm very sure that you can look at the back of your hands and mention a couple of players that will be on the final list.
Especially the professionals.
Carly Keme, obviously, even if he's conceding goals in Wolves, he should still be in goal for us and all of that. So let's just hope the guys can get the job done. That's the most important thing.
That's the most important thing. Let's give them our support. Let's hope they are able to go out there, get the job done for us, and keep us on track for 2017 Africa Cup of Nations in Gabon. We'll go